The Sacramento Kings are beaming and dreaming again, and Bradley Beal goes to the bench and dominates in a Suns win. Are these teams sus or sustainable? Plus, the Mavs lose another star. Can they pull some Orlando magic and stay afloat in their conference? I'll ask Matt and Haize all that and more today on Locked On NBA.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On NBA. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5, and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. I'm Doug Branson, host of Locked On Hornets and your Shot Clock Sherpa, guiding you through the NBA's biggest stories with the help of Locked On's local experts. And with me are two of Locked On's premier national NBA experts from the Locked On Nuggets podcast and senior NBA writer for the Action Network. We've got Matt Moore. And from the Locked On Bulls podcast, it is Haize. Matt, Haize, two teams out west, the Kings and Suns, made a few recent high-profile swaps that appear to be paying dividends. But is it sus or sustainable? That's the classic NBA game sweeping the Locked On NBA Nation. We're going to play it today. Let's begin with the Kings. They're on a heater after firing head coach Mike Brown and replacing him with Doug Christie. Let's go to a much happier, a beaming Matt George over at Locked On Kings.
Something special is brewing in Sacramento. The Kings battle back from down 17 in the fourth quarter to defeat the Miami Heat in double overtime, winning their fifth straight game. How many times have we seen that this season? Up until this point, the Kings have had a really hard time actually closing out and winning these close games so far this season. But Sacramento has been very consistent this year with when they fall behind early, they don't quit, they battle back, and they give themselves a chance. Check the standings, everybody. The Sacramento Kings are half a game out of 10th, which is the final play-in spot. The Kings are one game out of 8th, which is currently held by the Golden State Warriors. The Kings are only 3.5 games out of 4th in the West.
It could happen. The Sacramento Kings racing towards an outright West playoff berth. Matt Moore, is it sus or sustainable?
Sus. So look at this. Look at this straight of the schedule. Now look, everybody's got NBA injuries. It's why I hate it when fans come at me and are like, oh, no, this doesn't count because we were missing this guy and only our injuries matter, none of the other ones. But like, look at this stretch here. Congratulations. You knocked off the Dallas Mavericks without Luka, Dončić, and Kyrie Irving. Congratulations. You beat the Memphis Grizzlies by 5 without John Morant. Hey, look at you. You beat the Warriors. Okay, that one was pretty good. I'll give you that one. That was a dominant win. You beat the Heat without Jimmy Butler when they're like spiraling towards chaos. The Kings are not as bad as they were. The net rating stuff kind of told us that. They're 7th schedule adjusted offense, 15th schedule adjusted defense. That's a pretty good team. You know what? Matt George was absolutely right. They're almost a play-in team. Good job.
Yeah, let's celebrate the fact that you're still coming in below your expectations based off where you finished last season, even with this 5-game stretch. But I agree with Matt. Like, you beat Dallas, missing Kyrie and Luka. You beat Philly, missing Joel Embiid. You beat Memphis. You beat Golden State and Miami. Like, I'm glad. Winning 5 games in a row is tough. Like I want to make that clear. Regardless of who your opponents are, it can be tough, especially after the long losing streak that the Kings did have. But let's not act like the Kings are all of a sudden back. So if we're asking sus or sustainable, it's still very, very, very sus. But, hey, at least it's looking up.
I do have
Well,
to,
I'm just happy. I'm just happy for Matt George.
I got to take a loss here because I gave Kings fans a bunch of crap because they were like, Mike Brown deserved to be fired because Keon Ellis wasn't playing. And I was like, guys, come on. Like, you can't fire the coach that got you to a playoff spot because of Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis has got plus 17 net rating since he started actually playing again. Like, Keon Ellis has been huge for them. He was great last night. I'll take the L on that one. Keon Ellis deserved to play. I still don't think it's worth, firing Mike Brown for, but I get it. The young guy's really fun. Keon Ellis has been great.
Well, and you have guys like Malik Monk being very candid about communication issues and the differences between what he's dealing with now with Doug Christie and not explicitly saying Mike Brown, but saying the communication between coaches and players much better. So, yeah, those are the kind of intangible things that lead to wins. Is it sustainable? We'll see. All right, we talked about the Suns' decision to bench Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic on yesterday's show, and we got to watch the immediate dividends. Beal leads the Suns in scoring in a win. Here's Locked On Suns with their take on the move.
It just felt like, it almost felt like they told Beal, God, quit worrying about anything else besides scoring the basketball, and the rest will come. And tonight he had 25 points and he had the 5 assists. He was able to drive to the basket and dish it out to shooters, and that's what this team has been missing all year long. The ball just moves a little bit better when there's not 3 guys on the court doing the exact same thing. This is what you need to do. You're still going to close games for us. Just focus on scoring the basketball. That's what you're good at. Go back to being what you said before in the press conferences early in the year. Like, I just want to get back to what I was doing before, Jimmy Butler style, loving basketball. So he's found his role. I'm just curious how far it can go because if this team goes on a 3-game losing streak and Beal's on the bench, then everything's out the window.
The Phoenix Suns solving all of their problems with Bradley bench and without Jimmy Butler. Sus or sustainable, Haize?
Sus. It's one win. They've won 2 games since December 19th. That's what they've won 2 games. There's nothing sustainable yet. They got to do it for a way longer time. I'm glad that Bradley Beal had it with all the talk around him and things like that. I am really glad that he had a good game, and maybe this does reinvigorate something in him, and he finds a role for himself by separating and not having those minutes with KD and Booker. But overall, right now, I cannot say sustainable based off one game against the Philadelphia 76ers. I need to see it done for a longer period of time before I'm willing to say that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't sit here and knock the Kings for their strength of schedule and not be like, all right, you beat the Sixers without Embiid. Good job. I think the stuff with Beal is interesting here, but it's also, there's too much drama here. It's very clear that this move was generated out of trade talks. You don't bench Bradley Beal just because it's what's best for the team. And Beal, I think, is in a tough spot here where nobody really wants him right now. And that's really difficult. So props to him for going out and actually scoring well. I'm still concerned about the defense. Show me, they held the Sixers to 99 last night, and even without Embiid, that's actually pretty good. Show me you can do that over a 5-game sample, and we can start talking about this being sustainable.
I don't know if this was before or after the game, but Bradley Beal asked about the trade situation and whether or not he would waive his no-trade clause, and he seemed to indicate that he had not been asked yet by the organization and that he still holds all the cards in that situation. There's been a lot of talk about where Bradley Beal could go, where he would go. Is there a sneak team that we haven't been thinking about? Haize, should Bulls fans be interested in getting in on the Beal stakes? Wait a minute, hold on. Before you say anything, let's just go in close to Haize's face. There we go. Okay, good.
Listen, unless you're getting unprotected first back, I don't see what Bradley Beal does for the Chicago Bulls. Now, I get it. This is a fan base in Chicago that wants to see the Bulls do everything to maintain this pick, and I understand that. But you're looking at Bradley Beal, who right now is getting paid $5 million more than what Zach LaVine will at the height of that contract. What does that do for you? It limits your flexibility if you do want to do something. It ties you into the same amount of money for a worse player. I get it. Bradley Beal is 31 years old. It's not like he's over the hill yet or anything, but no, unless the pot is getting very, very sweetened with picks, I don't see why anybody in Chicago should want Bradley Beal there.
The only thing I can kind of think here is that if the Bulls are trying... If the Bulls are trying to lose games, right? If they want to keep the pick and they're a little too good, you got to start moving off of these guys. You've got to move off the guys that are helping you win. And you got to move off of LaVine as quickly as possible because LaVine's been great. He was great again last night. So I think you're in a spot where maybe it's Phoenix is, hey, we'll help you move these guys in order for this. The problem is just Phoenix's draft pick compensation is completely wiped out from the KD trade. Again, that sound you hear is Houston cackling in the background. They do not have the ability to be able to generate the kind of assets that are going to make this worth it for Chicago. And if Chicago's trying to if they're trying to lose, you want to lose and you want to drop salary. So I'm not sure what this looks like unless there is a big expiring contract out there that you can move Beal for and send those other assets to Chicago, and then Chicago sends their stuff out. It's a hard thing to make sense of, but I will just say, like, Chicago doesn't always make rational decisions. So I'm not ruling it completely out, but I do think that Chicago is a team that Phoenix is going to probably be talking to try and make this deal work.
All right, coming up on Locked On NBA, the Mavericks lose another star player. Where do they go from here in their quest to repeat as Western Conference champions? Plus, I'm deputizing Matt and Haize as NBA crossing guards as several teams have to make some quick decisions on how fast they're going to pursue this trade deadline and their quest to get to the NBA playoffs. So stop, slow down. What will Matt and Haize tell these teams to do? Stick around. Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and you're going to get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com to join up today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. More Locked On NBA ahead. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Your favorite NBA team has a free and daily newsletter now. Go to LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Subscribe to stay up to date with local expert analysis and amazing writing from Katie Heindel, Mike Shear, and Locked On Fantasy Basketball tips from Josh Lloyd. Okay, new game here on Locked On NBA. I'm deputizing Matt and Haize as NBA crossing guards because there are a couple of NBA teams right now that have a lot of big decisions to make as they race down the road towards the trade deadline and the NBA playoffs. So I'm giving you your imaginary whistles and you have your theoretical signs. And I'm going to give you a question or an idea posed by a local Locked On host, and you're going to tell me, should that team stop, slow down, or wave them on? Keep going. All right? Everyone clear on the rules?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's first head west to Los Angeles to Locked On Lakers, who are discussing how the Lakers may address the hole at their center position.
The defensive metrics on Kessler, if you buy defensive metrics at all, are insane. If he really is available, I almost feel like it's a red flag, or either that or Utah's front office like wants to do something super specific that for whatever reason doesn't involve Kessler. But the idea that you can't rebuild with him at 23 makes no sense. If you can get Walker Kessler, okay, great. Like I buy that. Like I was a little more suspicious. People who are smarter than me really break down the numbers well, have shown what Kessler's impact is. Even if he's not a perfect fit around AD, you know, the trickle effect, whatever it might be, like he's really good at some important stuff and you can kind of figure it out. And, you know, having that high level player on that side of the ball has tremendous value and can make, I think, could lengthen Anthony Davis's career.
So we've heard a lot of noise around the Lakers and possibly acquiring Jonas Valanciunas, but now we have a little bit of rumbling here about Utah and Walker Kessler. Should the Lakers use up whatever remaining assets they have in pursuit of Walker Kessler if he's available? Stop, slow down, or wave him on, Matt?
I'll wave him on. Go on across. If he's available, you should absolutely get him because it gives AD somebody who can actually take on the physical assignments that he hates. Like it would be great to see AD just not looking like he's going to die every time that he gets hit by somebody bigger than him. So it'd be awesome to see that. Kessler's really good. What I will say about this situation though, is I'm not sure that this is even going to be an open road. Like I'm not sure that there's going to be a way for you to get across traffic. And the reason is, I think that they're cooling on the idea of trading Kessler. So one of the problems was kind of there was this idea that Will Hardy had soured on Kessler and he was in the doghouse. He's played more this season and he's been great. Also, check out really awesome video of Kessler and Will Hardy watching Kessler's girlfriend win Miss America. and they're both like reacting and hugging each other because they were so excited. It's feel good content. I think this is a great idea for the Lakers, but I don't think it's feasible, Haize.
Yeah, I mean, I wave them on as well for this. I like the pursuit. I like the addition of Walker Kessler for this team for all the reasons that you laid out here. But the Lakers just, I don't know how much further it takes the Lakers. I like the addition of Walker Kessler really for any team. Walker Kessler is one of those players that really can play on just about any team. So if they're going to pursue them with the assets they have remaining, I'm not mad at that move at all.
We'll stay with the Lakers because on that episode of Locked On Lakers, they also discussed the idea of starting their new acquisition, Dorian Finney-Smith, over Rui Hachimura. Right now, DFS coming off the bench, has been since he was acquired by LA, but he's gaining more and more minutes. Do you like this idea? What's your crossing guard idea on this? Do they stop? Do they slow down? Wave him on? What are you thinking there with starting DFS over Rui?
I'll say, I guess wave him on. I mean, I think the big thing here is just like, why not start them both? You know, put DFS at 2 guard, put Rui at 3, LeBron at 4, and AD at 5 until you get a center. I think DFS can guard the 2 guards. I think he's quick enough. I think he's fast enough. I think he's big enough. So DFS is, I think, a perfectly fine option. Like, just go big, just go hyper big. Like Max Christie's a cute story, but like, come on. So like, just play your 5 best guys and start both of them.
Haize?
I'll say slow down here. Just give it a little bit more time before making that decision. Not to say that I think it's a bad decision at all, but I think just get a little bit more data. There's no rush at this point in time. You could be making another move that could really force you to change your starting lineup. So just slow down a little bit for now. Keep looking at the data and then make a decision.
Or trade Rui for Jimmy Butler. How much you do that?
Oh, all right. Now, yeah, I feel like Matt is a crossing guard. Watch out for your kids. Like, he's just moving everything on, trade this guy, move this guy. Like, traffic is going a million miles an hour. All right, let's go to Cleveland, where the Cavaliers are on a 73-game win pace right now. And Danny Cunningham, host of Locked On Cavs, tells you if the Cavs should go all in on a chase for the regular season wins record.
I do think that one of the best things about this Cavs team so far this year is that they've not been chasing wins. They've been winning games, but it's not because they're going all out every single night to find a way to beat the Charlotte Hornets on a Sunday evening. No, they are beating the Charlotte Hornets on a Sunday evening in Cleveland because their process is great, because they are a well-built team, because they're doing all the things correctly, because they're not taking nights off and slipping up. Now, are they overexerting themselves to get these wins? Also, no. And I do think that is a really big part of this discussion. I don't feel as if they're chasing wins. I feel as if they're beating teams because they're better. I don't think that they should be chasing this record because I think that this season for the Cavs is not about regular season success. Do they have stuff to prove in the regular season? Absolutely. As I mentioned, this should not be a team that's satisfied with only winning 50-ish games. The goal for them should be somewhere between 63 and 67.
Okay, Haize, what do you think? Should the Cavaliers go for the wins record, go for history, or would that be too much of an impediment to their Larry O'Brien goals?
Yeah, I think stay focused on the ultimate goal here, and that's winning the title. Sometimes we've seen teams that try to fight for some record or whatever, and then they run out of gas. Not to say that's necessarily what would happen for the Cavs, but I think the ultimate goal here it should be to be healthy. It should be to be completely ready and prepared for the playoffs. The records, all that type of thing. Like, yeah, it's great to be able to say that. It's great to hang up that banner or whatever it is. But I tell you what's more important, it's winning a title. If you go ask the Golden State Warriors what would they rather have, is the all-time wins record or winning a title, they will tell you the title. So focus on winning the title. If you happen to get the record over the course of that, great. But focus on winning the title.
Yeah, I'll say stop. It sucks that we have to have this conversation in terms of that it's just the way it is, right? Because it's not just, it's a combination of things in terms of the energy needed to, because they're not chasing wins now, as Danny says, but you get to the end of the season and you will start trying to do that. Like, you'll start pushing a little hard to try and get there. And the Warriors ran out of gas. It's really funny. The Cavaliers have this conversation considering they beat the 73 win Warriors. Like, they ran out of gas. That was very evident. Now, some of that was like, you know, Steph got hurt early and like there was like a lot of stuff that was going on. And I get that, but like they were down to the Thunder 3-1, right? In that year, they barely got through then. And then they had the collapse versus the Cavs. it sets up the expectation. And that's one I think is one of the biggest things, is that as much as guys say that they're immune, they're not. And if you win 73 games, if you win 74 games, you're supposed to win the title. That's the expectation. And anything short of that is a failure. If the Cavs make the Eastern Conference Finals and lose to Boston in 7 games, that's a great season. It sucks that you couldn't get it done. But hey, this works. This formula works, and that's awesome. You go for 74 and you come up short at any point, and you're a disappointment. And I hate that we have to have that kind of conversation, but we see this across sports with every type of team. There's a reason that, like, I'm a Chiefs fan and was so thankful they lost to the Bills. I did not want to deal with the pressure of going undefeated and then going through the playoffs. It's just too much. You got to not go for it. I hate that that's the way it is, but it is.
All right, so if you're both going to say stop, then I will push back. If you're the crossing guards, I'll be the guy with the earbuds in my ears. I'm not really paying attention to what's going on, and I'm speeding too fast in the school zone. And I say full steam ahead for the Cavaliers. And why I say that is I looked at how this team reacted to the win streak to open the season, and I saw a team that wasn't getting bothered by having to maintain that streak. And so I don't think that they would be bothered by a quest for it. If they're close enough, I think they should absolutely go for the history, because I think it will just continue to feed the competitive itch that all of these guys have. And I just feel like once you start to hit the brakes in a significant way, particularly if you're close. I mean, if you're like 3 or 4 games off pace, that's fine. Start to rest guys, get ready for the playoffs. But if you're super close, I just feel like hitting the brakes on that could almost like, it's almost like sometimes when you go too fast and then you pull up and you pull something. Like, I feel like it would just do that to their competitive spirit heading into the playoffs.
Just rest some guys. That's all you got to do. Just rest some guys. Hey, rest Darius Garland, who deserves that all-star spot so much. So let's just rest Darius Garland. It should take care of it.
But Danny made the point, and I might have cut this from the clip, but he got a little dig in there at Tibbs about, it's not a Tibbs situation where guys are playing big minutes every single night. So you wouldn't even be in danger, I think, of exhausting your players unless you decided to go that route. And I'll also back up Danny in that win over the Charlotte Hornets. I called them the Cleveland Cavaliers because they went half effort to beat the Charlotte Hornets. So they're doing things the right way.
Yeah, I mean, look, the alternative to this is that if you do win 74 games and you win the title, you get to be the best team of all time.
Yes.
I think Haize is saying stop because he just wants to protect his Chicago Bulls from having someone else above that team. It's already been beaten once.
I don't care. I want to see. I just would hate to see the Cavs go all out for this record, and then for some reason they run out of gas in the playoffs. Like, I want to see a fully healthy, competitive Eastern. That's my focus. I don't care who wins. I don't care. I just want to see a competitive Eastern Conference. I don't want to have another Boston Celtics thing where they have a run and they just face off a bunch of injured teams on the way there.
We need to drop for some sort of signal for shorten the schedule, since we all agree on this or topic of, like, this is another example of the Cavaliers should not be in this position because they should be able to go for both. Shorten the schedule.
I love it. All right. Let us know what you think on YouTube in the comments section, youtube.com/@LockedOnNBA. Coming up, another major injury in Dallas. We'll tell you how it affects the rest of the Western Conference playoff race. Stay with us. Locked On NBA. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get real money action while watching your favorite NBA stars than with Prize Picks. Whether you're a diehard fan or you just love some friendly competition, Prize Picks makes it fun and easy to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Think LeBron's going to drop 30 points? Or maybe you want to pick someone else on the Mavericks after they've lost both of their stars. Prize Picks lets you make your predictions and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. Prize Picks is a fun way of playing a game within the game, and it's addictive. You can pick Jason Tatum for more than 26.5 points against the Nuggets tonight, or maybe you want Amin Thompson more than half a three-pointer made. I just need one, baby. And with Prize Picks Flex Play option, even if one of my picks doesn't hit, I can still double my money. Plus, once I hit, I get my money fast, sometimes as quick as 15 minutes. It's honestly the best way to keep the game exciting. Now's the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. No need to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. More Locked On NBA ahead. The Dallas Mavericks Western Conference Championship repeat chances took another major hit as Kyrie Irving's illness evolved into a bulging disc in his back. Here's the team at Locked On Mavericks with timelines and maybe possibly some funeral arrangements.
Our friend Jeff Stotts, he's in Street Clothes. He tracks all these stuff, and the average time lost for in-season disc herniations that do not require surgery is 28 days. Oh. 12 games, about 12 games. It's a tough one. The Mavs are going to be without Kyrie for, if it's 2 weeks, at least till January 20th, they play Charlotte.
On the games where Kyrie played without Luka, they were 7-3. You know, a lot of their losses recently have been without Kyrie and Luka. They've yet to win a game this season when both of those guys are out.
I don't know how many teams can survive without their top two players.
Okay, Matt Haize, does this Kyrie Irving injury on top of the Luka injury now make you seriously question if the Mavs can get back to the playoffs, much less get back to the NBA Finals? Matt, we'll start with you.
I'm still in on Dallas. I'm still in. I'm still in on Dallas. I think that Dallas, the average time loss is 28 days per Stotts. The timeline for Kyrie right now is 1 to 2 weeks. Sure, it could be longer. It probably will be longer. I think Luka's probably not back until after All-Star. And I know this sounds bad. This is when the schedule gets kind of weird. You want to know how weird stuff gets in this month with injuries and stuff? The Sacramento Kings have won 5 games in a row. So like that shows you that there's an opportunity here for them to just sneak out a few wins, stay within range, get back Kyrie and Luka, and then make a push, sneak into a 6 seed, maybe the play-in, and then they'll still be dangerous. I'm not out on Dallas yet. I think they're still alive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not out on Dallas at all because I think, you know, when everybody gets back healthy, they're going to be able to go on a run. Now, I do think that if they want to go on that run and avoid the play-in, that could get a little dangerous for them. Missing Kyrie, they already lost 5 games in a row. So Luka's going to be out for another 2-3 weeks, and then you're going to have Kyrie who's going to miss a handful of games as well. Like, so they may find themselves where they have to go through the play-in to make it, but I mean, the Dallas Mavericks have more than enough talent. That depth, though, that we were talking about before that we hope was going to be able to keep them afloat and avoid that play-in, we'll see if that happens. But overall, I still think they're going to make the playoffs. They just may have a little bit more of a difficult path to get there.
And the other thing is, remember, Lakers 2023 play-in tournament team made the conference finals. Heat 2023 play-in team made the conference finals. Last year, Pacers 6 seed make the conference finals. Like the Mavericks were a 5 seed last year. We're no longer in, it's going to be 1 versus 2 and 1 versus 2. We're not there. So I think there's definitely a door here for the Mavericks to get a lower seed and still be back in the conference finals because full strength, I think that they are the second best team in the West.
League parity, baby. In the last blowout loss that Dallas took to Memphis, 119-104, Derek Lively led them in game score with 14 and 12. PJ Washington also had a double-double with 17 and 10. Najee Marshall, 16. Their big acquisition, Klay Thompson, had 15. What's the name, maybe I didn't read it there, but what's the name that we'll be talking about on a future episode if they're actually able to win one single game without both of their stars and survive long enough to get one or two of those guys back? What's the name you hear there that you go, okay, yeah, we'll be talking about that guy, Matt?
Boy, that's tough because their roster's built around those two guys, right? So it's like, who do they have that's going to be able to do that? I will say, Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is playing for an extension. Quentin Grimes is really good. Quentin Grimes, I think, can actually be able to provide a little bit more from that end. The other guy that I kind of like, the advanced metrics hate him. I do think Jaden Hardy with a little bit more opportunity could really grow. Like Hardy hasn't been able to get an opportunity because he's been forced into a situation where he can't play his game because you've got so many guys, they have to play around Kyrie and Luka. I'm not completely out on Jaden Hardy. He needs a lot of help. He's shooting 57% at the rim. It's not awesome. But I do think Jaden Hardy's got some upside here to have a little bit of a run to keep them afloat.
Hey, did you like a name?
I like Jaden Hardy, but I'll say the name that we talk about, I'll go with Quentin Grimes. I think Quentin Grimes is due for a big game.
Oh, you know what it is? I'm sorry. I'm wrong. It's Spencer Dinwiddie. It's always Spencer Dinwiddie.
That's a good one.
Dinwiddie is that guy that fans hate. And then whenever it's like, God, if not for this guy, they would have gotten killed. And it's like Dinwiddie has like the game that they need. It's definitely Spencer Dinwiddie.
I think the difficulty in the conversation that we just had there is part of the reason why I'm a little nervous about Dallas's chances to keep it all together. And in Charlotte Hornets land, we're dealing with a player that has a similar injury and a disc irritation in Trey Mann. And he tried to come back from that, and he didn't look like the same player, and then has been out ever since, and not a lot of news there. So these back injuries, when you're dealing with a disc, they can wreak some havoc on an NBA body. So
don't worry, man. Like, look, as long as Instagram is up, Kyrie will take his time to come back healthy.
Is there even a precedent for a team? I mean, can you search back through the Rolodex of NBA championship seasons or NBA finals appearances by teams that lost that significant amount of talent and just ball handling, shooting, usage, distribution, a team surviving that kind of loss and coming back to get into the playoffs and make moves?
I'm sure there is one, but it's like, I can't remember one. Like,
one just doesn't come off the top of the dome.
I always come back to Caron Butler being out for the Mavericks, but he didn't even really like wind up playing that much for them in that season, right? Like they made the run late without him, but it was like when Caron was in, they looked like a title contender. Caron goes down and they struggled in that 2011 season and wound up winning the title. But like Caron's not Kyrie and he's not Luka. So like that's like a whole other category. It'd be like missing Dirk for 3 weeks or a month or 2 months. I can't think of another team where, and I think part of the reason, Doug, is that if you miss those guys, any other injuries crater you. And so it winds up taking too much of a toll on the other guys, right? Because like I covered this with the Nuggets where like Will Barton would have to have these crazy Novembers. And then by April, he was just gassed. He had nothing left in the tank. And so I just don't think that you can, it takes a cumulative toll, not just having those guys out, but the other guys having to take on that kind of a role.
All right, if you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA wherever you get podcasts, including on YouTube. Thanks so much for making Locked On NBA your first listen. Thank you to Matt and Haize for sharing their expertise. Enjoy tonight's action. Be kind to each other. And we're going to see you right back here for Wednesday's Locked On NBA, where we will preview a huge matchup between Oklahoma City and Cleveland. See you then.